Let's talk about the great white shark. You know the one. For decades, it's been the star of our nightmares, the ultimate monster of the deep. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive right past the myth and get to the truth about one of the most magnificent creatures in the entire ocean. But here's the big question. Is this legendary predator really the mindless monster we've made it out to be? Or is there something more complex, more brilliant, and honestly, far more vital going on just beneath the surface? Let's find out. So first, we have to acknowledge the legend, right? The whole monster of the deep thing. We've all seen the movies, we all know the reputation. But what if that whole story is just plain wrong? To really get the picture, you have to look at its design. Because this isn't a monster, it's a masterpiece of evolution, a super predator that is perfectly, and I mean perfectly, engineered for its world. First off, let's just talk about scale. A full-grown great white shark is typically between 4 and 6 meters long. To put that in perspective, that's longer than most cars. It has this undeniable, commanding presence in the water. And it's got the weight to back it up, often tipping the scales at over 2,000 kilograms. I mean, that's just immense power. That mass is what makes it an apex predator, sitting right at the very, very top of the marine food chain. And get this, their lifespan is just as impressive. Recent studies are showing that great whites can live for over 70 years. 70! So this isn't some creature that just lives fast and dies young. It has a long, complex life, which totally changes how we should think about it. But its physical size? That's only half the story. The great white is operating with what is basically an advanced sensory toolkit. Its sense of smell is so sharp it can detect a single drop of blood in the equivalent of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. It sees incredibly well in dark, murky water, it hears the faint vibrations of its prey from miles away, and its body, gray on top, white on the bottom, makes it practically invisible. And as if that's not enough, it has a sixth sense that is pretty much a superpower. That sixth sense comes from these things called the ampullae of Lorenzini. It's a network of special pores on its snout that work like electroreceptors. They allow the shark to detect the tiny, tiny electrical fields that are generated by the muscles of other animals. It can literally sense the life force of its prey, even when it's completely hidden from sight. It's incredible. So, we've seen the unbelievable biological hardware this animal's working with. Now, let's look at how all that translates into the real, day-to-day life of the shark, its behavior, what it eats, and its true place in the ocean. As an apex predator, its menu is all about high-energy food, like seals and sea lions, but it'll also go for large fish and even small whales. But here's the thing, it's not just a brute. Its hunting strategy is so calculated. It uses that amazing camouflage to patrol the depths, and then it launches this devastatingly fast ambush attack from below, taking its prey by complete and total surprise. And just like its long lifespan, its life cycle is slow and deliberate. A great white mother actually grows her pups inside her body, and they're born live, but she only has a few at a time. This slow rate of reproduction means their populations are incredibly sensitive and take a really, really long time to recover from any losses. And that brings us to a crucial point about the great white that gets overlooked all the time. It's not just a predator. In a very real way, it's a guardian. It's what's known as a keystone species, an animal that the entire ecosystem literally depends on to stay in balance. So, how does that work? Well, it's actually pretty simple. By hunting, sharks keep the populations of animals like seals in check and healthy. This stops those animals from eating up all of their food sources, which in turn keeps the entire ecosystem in balance. You remove a top predator like the great white, and you can set off a catastrophic chain reaction that damages all kinds of marine life. So, we've seen the marvel, now let's confront the myth of the monster head-on and get to the reality of the danger and who is truly in danger here. This is probably the most important point. Despite all the fear, attacks on humans are exceptionally rare. And when they do happen, they're almost always a case of mistaken identity. It's an exploratory bite from a shark that thinks a surfer or a swimmer might be its usual prey, like a seal. These are not malicious, thought-out attacks. And if we just step back and look at the bigger picture, this comparison says everything. The threat that sharks pose to humans is minimal. It's tiny. The threat humans pose to sharks? It's catastrophic. From overfishing and the horrific fin trade to pollution and climate change, our activities are pushing them to the absolute brink. The great white shark is now officially classified as a vulnerable species. They get caught by accident in fishing nets, they're hunted illegally for their fins, their habitats are being polluted, and a changing climate is disrupting the entire ocean ecosystem that they depend on to survive.
So we end up right back where we started, but with a totally new perspective, I hope. We've seen the great white not as a monster, but as an intelligent, vital guardian of the ocean, a guardian that is now threatened by our actions. Which forces us to ask one last question. Who is the real monster in this story?